think looks like we lost Michael. I've got everyone muted. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and go through some of the information that's going to be needed. If you have a question, you want to send a chat message, and you're on the computer, you can send a chat. If you are not, you can unmute yourself and send over the and put up any questions that you have. I'd like to leave the questions for the end. There might be one or two spots where I'll unmute everyone for any open forum if I feel fit, but definitely at the end would be the best place to ask the questions unless it's urgent. Okay, so welcome to the meeting for adjusters and appraisers for Heavy Truck Group Inc. And you know, just touch base on that. Here's the topics that we're going to touch on: the company information, contact list, the territory maps, the rates that we'll be paying out, the procedures for each individual. Adjust right. Basically, we talk about the programs that we're going to be utilizing, non-compete, non-disclosures, service contracts, and proposals. So let me start out by talking about the history of the company, which at this time is very short, and the company vision, which is very long. The company is it's a new startup business. It's headquartered in Panama City, and it is kind of a unique structure. It combines services from towing facilities to repair facilities, appraisal companies, title company, and a salvage yard, all wrapped into one. And what its intention is to create a streamline for the insurance companies that not only make it faster but more cost effective for them to handle claims. They'll be the ultimate adjuster at the carrier, you know, making payment and cover liability determinations and things like that. But all the other things in between, HTG is looking to make that a simpler task, a more streamlined task. The focus today is we're going to be discussing on the appraisal portion of the company, as what it means to you guys, and what your role and duties will be. And again, like I said before, the objective of the company is to save time and money for carriers and fleets. And cutting edge. Cutting edge is a term that comes to mind when I think of the company that Louise and some others have put together in bringing the concept around. And there's nothing else like it. There's a lot of things that have a lot of companies out there that have some components, but this takes on a whole new meaning. We talk about streamlining claims. And it seemed seemingly well received in beginning discussions with some of the carriers. So, who's who? Some of the people that you'll be dealing with, mostly Louise Johnson. She's the founder, CEO. It was her concept, her idea. So she'll be your main contact. The email to reach her regarding everything for Heavy Truck Group is heavytruckgroupfl, as in Florida, at gmail.com. Heavytruckgroupfl at gmail.com. And her contact number, and you'll all receive this if you don't have it already, is 954-610-8968. And so she's the main point of contact. She's asked me to come on and assist with the adjuster and appraiser coordinating, and she asked me to utilize some of the information that I have and the knowledge that I have. Her and I have gone way back and working together many times. So, and she's asked me to step in and assist her on this. And then the auctioneer is Joe Martin, auctioneer, and they'll be the one on the final end of the process if the units are getting sold and auctioned off. So just to let you know who some of them are. And then there are yards. There are key yards and areas. That brings me into the contact list and territory map. And I believe Louise has a comprehensive list of um, who's who in terms of appraisers or adjusters throughout the country. But these are the yards we've just put together. If you see, you can see on the continental U.S., every area has a coverage with the exception of the New England area, the Connecticut, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine. That's something that we're working on, but there's not a lot of stuff up there for us to put that as a high priority at this point. So um, Louise has several areas that have been uh, separated based on the yards and where people will be pulling vehicles from and to. So that territory map will be a little more comprehensive and it'll be on our website, and we'll get into the website later and what that's going to look like. Rates. Our starting rates right now for the adjusters and appraisers are over the road vehicles, your tractor, your trailers, and medium duty trucks and things like that, and even autos, I guess, if need be, will be photos only are $100. The estimate only, which means it's a desk appraisal. You're just going to write it off of some photos. Likely could be an obvious total loss or something like that, and that's $125 per. And if you need to go out with photos and estimates, it is a $200 fee. The equipment, when I say standard, I mean a basic equipment, a backhoe or a straight tractor or something like that. That is pretty standard common unit. Photos only would be 125. Desk appraisal, the estimate only. Again, those are going to be typically obvious total losses, and it's going to be just to write something to support it as a total. That's what we anticipate. That'll be 150. And then the photos and estimate, if you need to go to the yard and look at it, and then write the estimate, is 275. Specialty equipment, I have that list as dynamic. What I mean by that is that's going to be a case by case basis. That's anything out that's unique. So any of the unique equipment, boats, custom built vehicles and things like that, pumpers and stuff. That stuff will be handled, and a rate will be applied for each situation. Um, Procedures for you guys is going to be immediate inspections. We're going to have an email at this point in time. It's going to be an email sent over to you guys. Reply. I just put reply because it's very simple. We need to know that you guys received it. Louise is going to be sending the emails out and making sure that she gets a reply that tells her that, yeah, you guys got it. You're acknowledging it, and it's going to get handled. If there's no reply, she's got to only assume that it's a rejection or there's a problem. So, please make sure that you reply to the email that you got it. I said it a bunch of times. I think I'm clear. 48 hours or less, that's the time for inspections. Please make sure that you're out. If you need to go out, if it's one that you're physically going out to, that you're out there in 48 hours or less. If there's a problem or extenuating circumstance, you need to let Louise know, and she will discuss it with you and see if it's something that the time can be extended. So sometimes we might even know that the unit is being moved to a yard ahead of time, and you'll get much more notice saying that a piece will be arriving on Friday. And if it's something that you can't handle, whether it's the type of equipment or its location or whatever, then please reject it within 4 hours so that we can get somebody else out and look at it. So. And because of how this is going to be structured and how Louise's company is handling it, teardown, if teardown is needed, I don't mean like pull the dashboard off and things like that. But if you can't get a hood opened, there be access for somebody there at the yard to assist with that if if you need to maybe get a wheel off or something. Those things we should be able to get a lot of those things handled so we can get a complete one-time appraisal. And there's a reason for that. That's going to be beneficial for you guys, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Photos. There'll be a list of photos that are going to be needed. Um, Most everyone that is going to be looking at the vehicles and equipment know what basic damage photos to take, but we need a little more comprehensive photos because we also have to consider what it's going to be like when we are when Louise is presented with the task of selling off the salvage. So the pictures also have to give her some information that's going to help support the sale of the unit. So there'll be a few other photos that you may or may not be accustomed to taking. Specification forms, just a standard specification form based on what type of equipment or vehicle it is, just to fill out, so all the specifications are there. And then you'll submit the invoice via email, and when you're done, and software we're working on now. It looks like we're gonna that Louise is gonna move forward with AdjustRight. AdjustRight's a program put together by PPG. Cool part about AdjustRight is truck part prices are already generated. They aren't 100% accurate, but they are a global average based on their system that can be turned on or off if you want to look up your own. You can override that or shut that feature off. I believe you can do it per user, but for the most part, I'll leave it on, and we'll use those global pricing, and that can be updated if the vehicle is repairable. Then labor times are also generated out of there. And it takes in consideration materials for the material stuff. It also takes in consideration for overlap, and it's an online program. So you can have access from it from any computer anywhere. Even you can even write the estimate off a tablet and probably even a phone. There is a website that's in development. It will roll out soon. That'll have quite a bit of comprehensive information on there, but that is still under construction, and we will let everyone know. I guess Louise will send an email out once that is completed, so everyone's has access to it. And then the email to email the invoices and any other information back will be heavytruckgroupfl@gmail.com. And your photos will be attached to AdjustRight. So the only thing really needing to be sent will likely be your invoice from what we're seeing at this point. Moving to some of the paperwork that you guys will be receiving, Louise is working with legal to finish the non-compete, non-disclosure forms. Those forms will be done shortly, and so they're being completed by legal. They should be done next week, and then Louise will be distributing them to you guys via email. And what's the reason for them? Well, the company is really a one of a kind in the structure, in the format. So we want to make sure that Louise's structure and format is protected, and that's really all it's about. Is that the unique idea and concept behind this company? We want to make sure it's protected, and discussing it to the wrong individual, could create competition that we really don't want to be competing against at this time. We've got a situation here where Louise is a very unique product, and she wants to make sure it stays that way for as long as possible. If there are any concerns with the non-compete or non-disclosure forms, email Louise immediately, but really they're just standard agreements to keep the logistics of this as private as possible. Contracts, they'll be drawn up by legal. It's on legal's desk. They'll be done after the non-complete and non-disclosures are finished. And it's just basic contracts about how everything is structured, and you'll be receiving things, and the procedures and the formats that were already outlined in this. We also have we'll have the rates outlined in there as well. So that will outline, the contracts will outline all of those um, items as well. It's just going to be a standard contract. Those are some of the forms you can expect to be getting soon. Um, and where the company's at now, it's a development stage where I was advised by Louise that there's the clients are all have been discussed about starting up. There's been a lot of interest from some of the carriers, so the proposals are being submitted shortly to the carriers based on the conversations that she's had with them, and and her colleagues have had with them. So those proposals will be sent out very very shortly, and it's going to be launched based on pilot program formats with the intention of taking it into a full contract with the national yards. So, um, so that's where we're at in terms of what what's on board yet. So it is a new development. It will be a slow process, but the potential for it is very very large. Um, and that's some of the main things to go over. So in summary, remember it's a new company. It's based out of Panama City, Florida. But this is a startup situation, and I urge you guys to, and myself, to be patient with the process. It's a great concept, a great idea. Insurance companies are very slow to make changes, and their pilot programs tend to stretch out a little bit, just to be cautious, and so that's to be expected. So I hope Louise hasn't made any promises to you guys in terms of volume or anything like that, but with success, it has a big upside, but it will be a process. That's to be for sure. Um, we talked about the non-disclosure, non-compete, and the contracts, which are forms that you guys can expect to get within the next week or two, and discuss the rates. So really, at this time, that's pretty much all the information to go through. I'm going to ask Louise. I'm going to unmute Louise now. Louise, is there anything that you want to add before we open up the forum?
No, they're pretty much over the forms and the contracts. I just want to make it clear that, like Charlie said, a lot of people are very cautious about signing things. This is just to protect everyone involved, not just me with, forming something like this, but also everyone involved is also going to be protected because as this new entity grows, so does everyone's work involved grows as well. So if there's something that you feel that should not say that, just don't toss it aside and say, I want no part of this. Bring it to my attention, and I'll see if it's a valid request and have it noted. That I handpicked, the people that I want to start with this. If the yards across the U.S., they're very, very reputable yards. They've been in business for a very long time. And like Charlie said, there's at the locations, you guys have to go to a location and you cannot get a hood open. These yards are set up to assist on these things. So the main concern with the photos, as far as the salvage goes, many times when an estimate is written, they're written with photos of the damages, but not photos of the good parts that we need to sell the units. And this is one of the things that I thought of this whole idea because of this, because those good parts mean a lot, especially the motors. If you have a hit and a rollover, say a side hit or and the truck rolls over, or even a light hit to the right corner and the vehicle rolls, which very often will take place. I would love to get on as much as we can the motors and the tags on the motor, the labels on the motors that would be a really big help, because some of these units, the motors are worth more than I could even imagine. I mean, it's amazing how much these motors are. So that would be a big plus for us. I understand if if the yard can't get it open and it can't be done, I don't want anybody to be unsafe. But you know, if it's something that can be done, then that's just great. But that's just the meaning for that. But all in all, thank you all for taking the time out for this, and I hope that things escalate a little bit on a steady schedule for us. That's about it that I have. You know, anybody have any questions, I'm always open to calls. That is my cell phone. So you can always give me a call and give me an input if you feel like I'm missing something or I need to do something a little bit differently. Like I said, this is a big project to put together, huge. And I didn't realize when I started it how detailed it really is. Okay, Charlie.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and unmute everyone. For any questions that anyone might have, feel free to ask them now. Otherwise, if you're done, you don't have any questions, you may leave.
I just wanted to add something on that adjust right thing, Charlie. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, just, for those of us that aren't familiar with it, or those people that aren't familiar with it, I know that they have I guess it's a trial on the program. So if you were to go onto the website, send them an email, they will send you a login. And I want to see you can write up to 5 estimates, and there's no charge to the program at all at that point. But just if you can open it up, take a look at it. It doesn't cost you anything to around with it. You can just kind of get used to the way the system works. When the time does roll around, they're not stumbling with it.
Right. And I'm also able to help anyone with that program. It's pretty simple. I've been using it for a long time at my job. So I told Louise that I can help support the adjusters when they have problems, with quick stuff, and otherwise you can go to you can go over to Adjust Right themselves, and you can
Yeah, and honestly, I'm going to just tell everybody, give it a chance, because I did not like the program at all at first either. And I kind of really like it now. It works really well. So everybody that's kind of stumbling with it, when you open it up, give it a chance.
Yeah, it is a pretty good program. And when I first started with it too a few years ago, it was not what it is today. I really was opposed to it. But they've made a lot of changes that's made it much, much better. So I definitely suggest that you guys give it a shot. You're going to probably really like it. If you write trucks and trailers, it's going to make your life a lot easier. Any other questions?
I just wanted to add that.
I guess that's it. Let me know if you got anything else, because we're able to wrap up here what we've got. So.
Yeah, I just want to thank you all for your time, and we'll be in touch within the next week or so with the forms that need to be signed.
Thank you, Charlie. You guys are awesome. Looking forward to everything.
You got it. All right. Thank you. Good job.
Charlie,
All right.
I was just going to ask real quickly about the mileage, driving time.
We'll take a look at that based on where you are positioned to the yard that's going to be in your area. So
Okay.
We'll handle that accordingly. We're hoping that the base yards are going to be closest to you guys, because there's only Louise has set it up with the guys based on the areas in the yard. So hopefully most of the inspections will all be done at mostly 95% at least will be done at the same yard all the time. So
okay.
Hopefully you get to the point where there's 2, 3, 4 at a time. As things grow. That's our hope. So, and a lot of times you're going to be able to the yard will send over photos for you for the claim.
Right.
Because it's going to
Yeah,
be a lot of obvious total losses. That's what we're zeroing in at, to move these units out of places that are going to have storage charges.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, we'll work on that. Good question, though. Anyone else? Okay. Well, thank you guys. Any other questions? Feel free to email Louise, or most of you guys know me from my regular job, so you know how to reach me if you got questions on it as well. All right. Talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, Louise. Thanks, Charlie.
You got it.
You're welcome.